Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade, and well, in this one we'll be talking about if you should play a Retribution Paladin in the War Within. Before we talk about the obvious hero talents, let's start with the good old cycle of Retribution and see what changed. For those who don't know what the cycle of Retribution is, it's how we develop over the course of a season, and it's been very predictable at least since the rework, and it goes something like this. Retribution is strong early because we do a ton of damage, we do a ton of burst, and we work pretty fine without gear. After that, in the middle of a season, we fall behind a bit because people are getting more gear and we don't really scale well. And we get buffed to be above average after that. It happened in Dragonflight, and in one occasion after the buff we didn't become above average, we actually became meta. So yeah, the cycle has worked as gospel in Dragonflight, but something is different in the War Within. It seems that the cycle has changed, and I'm referring to the second sentence. Falls off when people get gear because we don't scale. This heard our cries and has fixed that. Once again, we can scale with all secondary stats like others, meaning that the more gear we get, we will organically get stronger, no longer having to dip in damage between the start of a patch and its end waiting for an aura buff. Mastery got buff and now has a small extra effect. Yeah, I know it looks small now, but it will grow over the course of the expansion the more mastery you get, trust me. On top of that, talents that made us waste stats have been fixed. Vengeful Wrath, Templar Strikes, and also the gap between single target and AoE has become a lot smaller. Divine Arbiter no longer is needed to get that 5% extra buff to most of our single target spells and Holy Strike stuff, and Searing Light is now actually can proc the effect not only from radiant damage but also from our mastery procs, from just throwing judgments, making it not so dead on boss fights. Pair that up with some new talents that were dead in the past, giving us great cleave with the correct build, and at the end, the crown jewel, Radiant Glory, a talent that will give you wings every 30 seconds when you press Wake of Ashes, on top of a proc that randomly gives you more wings. For the first season, I'm 100% sure you will use this, because of its massive synergy with both hero talents. All this will give you a new way of playing Retribution. I introduced to you the 30 seconds Retribution Paladin. Funny how we went from 2-minute red to 1-minute red, and now we're down to 30-second red. How times have changed. And well, now it's time that we talk about the hero talents. I won't go full in depth on them here because I already did that in a 3-part series of videos that I'll leave them down in the description of this one if you want to check them out. But let's talk about them. Let's do Herald of the Sun first. You want big AoE? Check. You want Divine Storm span like the old days? Check. You want to become a font of damage and healing that shoots lasers? Okay, that's weird, but also checked. The Herald is the AoE hero talent by default. It buffs your Divine Storm massively on top of giving you a lot of damage over time spells, which I remind you are basically uncapped in AoE because dot spells are not reduced by targets. And its primary mechanic, the Dawnlight. These huge dots while single target are the core of the Herald. You will apply them, and in combination with other talents like Sun's Avatar, you will spawn lasers. Any enemy between those lasers and you will get damaged, and any ally between them will get healed. Well, you might think then, okay Light, but this should be very weak in single target, right? And to that I say Blessing of Ansh. Blizzard made sure that both talents could hold their own at a decent level in their secondary task, and Herald gets a massive 200% bonus in Hammers of Wrath when you proc this talent from your dots, which are going crazy all the time. So with that being said, the spec's only weakness is if stuff dies too fast because your dots won't have time to fully tick, but that's a problem that doing harder content will fix. Okay, now let's start with the Templar. The Templar is the guy you call when you need to mess up the day of one guy in particular. Cleave and priority damage are the Templar's strength. This shares the synergy with a 30-second wings like its brother the Herald, but instead of lasers, you will drop hammers, huge ass hammers. And after you drop the big hammers, you will drop small ones that can even AoE if you get them to crit. But the hidden gem of a build that Templar has is with Judge, Jury, and Executioner and the Bangers of Justice talents. This combination will give you something that Ret hasn't had in a very long while: Focused Cleave. With the combination of these talents, you will blast down 4 targets with extreme prejudice. The synergy is just too big not to take. Divine Storm, then you throw 4 Final Verdicts, then you Divine Storm again on those 4 targets for more damage. It's so simple yet effective. Templar will be the king of low mob density dungeons and tyrannical weak mythic plus. And of course, we also have to note that this will be your de facto raid build, being great at single target and cleave or council fights that exist in that content. The only weakness of Templar is that you might die of aggro when you drop the hammer. But well, we have Bob and Bubble for a reason, right? Up next, we have to talk about the most uninteresting part of our arsenal in the War Within, our tier set. Yeah, it's horrible to look at, and very simple, giving you extra damage on Wake of Ashes and Blade of Justice on the 2-piece, while giving you 8 whole seconds of extra damage when you press Wake of Ashes. Can you imagine 8 seconds? Yeah, I know, it's pretty lackluster, but hey, everyone's tier is like that in Season 1. Although it could use a buff so we can at least fit one full execution sentence in it. As a conclusion to the video, I must say that the Retribution Paladin is the whole package that you look for in a melee character. I didn't even mention its durability and utility, running around with baseline 10% avoidance, up to 10% damage reduction passively with one of the builds, and all the blessings and off heals you could ever need to survive the most dire situations. And well, that's going to be the end of the video, guys. I hope I could convince you to main a Retribution Paladin. Let me know in the comments down below if I did. I know there's still a lot of beta to go through, but trust me, Ret has been getting a lot of attention from Blizzard. Since we are the only DPS spec for the Paladin class, we will always be good. At least that's what they said before the rework, and from what we've seen, they are keeping their word. And well, as always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.